our main task is to identify and find ways to overcome the barriers that keeps millions of citizens outside of the participatory processes launched by our political institutions. We should ask ourselves, why do people decide to stay away from these deliberative processes? Why do they don't participate in decision-making initiatives that have a very important impact in their lives? And the reasons for that are many and quite complex. Some people don't participate because of basic linguistical barriers. Some people stay away just because they feel insecure, because they feel they don't have enough knowledge to really make a significant contribution to the process. So we have cultural, traditional, racial, all kind of circumstances. And some people just cannot participate because they are so overwhelmed by their personal circumstances, like for economic anxiety. Maybe you're too busy working to make a living and to pay for housing or your children's education that you cannot pay attention or you cannot devote the necessary time to go into a platform, register yourself, and contribute to the deliberative processes that impact your life. It is, of course, a lot easier to go to social media and just express your frustration, your fears, or your desires in these platforms in a behavior that contributes to raising polarization, radicalization, and that is also fostered by huge quantities of disinformation. So this feeds into a cycle of distrust that quite often bring us to political stalemates that impedes our administrators, our regulators, our politicians, policymakers to find effective solutions to the very problems that are causing this disengagement of people. So combating this trust cycle is part of our goal in this project, so we can make more people participate in this project. And this is what we're going to be discussing today here. We will start with the presentation of the project. We have with us today to present the MultiPoD project, Professor Arno Schall. He's Professor of Information System at the Research Center for New Media Technology of Model University, Vienna, and he's also the managing partner of WebLizard, lead and coordinator of the MultiPoD project. Welcome, Arno.
Thank you.
We also have from MultiPoD with us Rania El Abbasi. She's Senior Project Manager of MultiPoD on behalf of FameUp Social Action Center. Welcome, Rania. After that, we will invite IDEAL project to introduce their initiative with Harris Alexopoulos, Assistant Professor in Open Data Governance at the University of Aegean. He's the Scientific Manager or IDEAL. Welcome, Harris. I believe you are also with us. So without any further delay, I would like to give the floor to Professor Schall.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. I hope you can all see my screen.
Yes, perfectly.
Good. Yes, thank you for the introduction, and it's a pleasure to virtually meet our sister project, and thanks everyone for joining. We have divided the MultiPoD project in the spirit of being an interdisciplinary project in a technology part and the social science and engagement part. I'll start with a general overview and the technologies. And our goal in the project is to build enabling, supporting technologies that support citizen deliberation. The entire life cycle, and both virtual and face-to-face. And we have two sub-goals here. One is to interconnect existing communities, because there are a lot of initiatives Europe-wide, globally, where communities discuss a topic, come to conclusion, find solutions, and often they don't make it out of these circles. So it's very hard to find solution in a different country, in a different culture, in a completely different region, which might be a good template for a solution. So we want to bridge these information silos. And the second goal is we want to provide what we call cross-cultural transformation and visualization. So we want to provide tools that go beyond a mere translation of a dialogue. Because even if you translate, and we all know the AI-powered tools to translate are getting increasingly sophisticated, what they do not cater for is the cultural differences. One and the same term or topic might be completely differently interpreted in two different cultures based on their background, recent events, etc. So we want to have this cross-cultural transformation through the help of AI, and also use visual tools to support this process, because visualizations are often also a universal language. As mentioned, we aim to support all the processes, all the phases of such deliberation process, and I'll use this structure to introduce a few of the tools that we are building on and extending. So we have the 1 and 4, I'll start with that. So it's the preparation and information phase, where people prepare for a deliberation, and then also tracking the results, the impact, and if any conclusions, solutions, actually what type of impact did they have in the real world. For that, we are building on existing technologies. This is also what Web Lizard technology is responsible for in the project, is the visual analytics dashboard, to track information flows, to extract opinions, attitudes. It comes in different versions. So this is the pro version. We have much simpler ones that are more suited for individual interactions. And you can see that we can pinpoint recent stories, for example, that was the State of the Union speech, drill down to the opinion leaders, or get additional information on specific opinion leaders who have shaped the dialogue. So this is just, to get ready for the deliberation process. In the deliberation process itself, we're distinguishing an asynchronous and asynchronous aspect. So the asynchronous would be already having people discussing in the weeks before and in the weeks after, and also during. And for that, we work together with Team, another project partner, and we're going to expand the platform with additional features, and they provide a very trusted and stable platform to run the asynchronous part. We're going to couple this with it's provided by Open University, Democratic Reflection. It's a second screen interaction tool that will be primarily used during the deliberation, when it ingests real-time speech to text, and then can allow interaction, both features for the moderator, but of course also features for the participants to gather feedback. Once we have the deliberation running, the question is, how do we extract relevant information? How do we extract policy proposals, for example, or how do we extract suggested solutions? How can we track if there were conflicts emerging, and what might be the reasons for it? Also for tools for the moderator to more effectively run the deliberation. And then in the end, also to write up the conclusions and prepare the next steps. And for that, we have another partner, StoryPact, in the project, which with an AI editor tool that is in its original form meant to promote content, to increase attention, to maximize the impact of content, but it will be adapted in the project to support the deliberative efforts. That already concludes my quick technology overview and what we try to achieve. If you're curious, here you have the links, and I think we're going to share the slides afterwards anyway. Some of the technologies you can already try out, and we're going to continuously evolve them as we go through our use cases that actually citizen and policymaker assemblies that we are going to run starting in November this year with a virtual one, but then it will also be hybrid formats on an evolving set of topics. And I think this is the perfect opportunity to hand over to Rania, who will give you additional insights on the social science and engagement aspect.
Thank you very much, Arno. Arno gave us an overview of how the face-to-face and virtual assemblies are going to run in November, starting from November, and in the long run throughout the duration of the project. So for the first virtual citizen assembly, we had to select upon the topics of the conference on the future of Europe. On the left side, you can see a list of these major topics. And once I get to that point, I'm going to talk to you a bit more about the topic that we have chosen and the reason for that. So why citizens' assemblies? When comparing citizens' assemblies to other forms of political participation, we can perfectly see that this is a form of political participation that builds civic knowledge, and it enhances critical thinking of citizens through expert-driven content. And this is why the learning phase of such assembly is very important. Also, citizens' assemblies, they can give space to multilingual and multicultural communities in order to ensure their participation in settings that might not be very favorable for that in other contexts. Also, citizens' assemblies, they build institutional trust, and they enhance engagement of citizens. Here in a MultiPoD project, we have chosen a dual format linkage. So we will go forward with either citizens' assemblies whose proposals are going to fit policymakers to be developed later on in the project. Also, citizen assemblies, they can contribute to a pan-European public space for dialogue instead of limiting themselves to small-scale geographical boundaries. And last but not least, they can depolarize public debates by identifying common grounds and building cultural differences. So here the challenge that we had to deal with is that right now public debates across Europe are fragmented. And this is also because of language and cultural barriers. Another challenge is that sometimes people engage in discussions in languages or formats that they don't fully understand, and this jeopardizes their participation. Another reason is the role that national media play. National media narratives and political contexts do not always reinforce a groupthink. And in all this atmosphere, we can perfectly understand, I think, that minority and migrant voices remain underrepresented. That gives more space to polarization and biased information. So MultiPod's mission is to create, first of all, an inclusive European public space for citizen deliberation by bridging cultural and language barriers and gaps, reducing biases, and depolarizing these current political debates. And all this, of course, with the ultimate aim of amplifying underrepresented voices, which are very often the voices of multicultural and multilingual groups, and fostering in that way trust and transparency. MOP is the social partner of the project, and we coordinate task 4.3 on the Citizen Assemblies organization. So here we are talking about a mix of hybrid and face-to-face citizen assemblies and policymakers assemblies, usually in Athens, Vienna, Lisbon, and Brussels. So the aim of these assemblies is to lead social inclusion and citizen engagement by ensuring technology remains ethical, inclusive, transparent, and relevant to citizens' needs. We will be testing multilingual and multicultural deliberation formats in order to bridge these language and cultural gaps. And our goal is to create real-world policy recommendations by bringing together participants from Europe and building bridges between communities, civil society networks, and EU institutions. And this is why, getting to the topic of our first virtual citizen assembly, which is organized on November 12th. And we would be grateful if you could all join, because we think this is around the topic that concerns us all. It is about housing in Europe and how this is multicultural and multilingual communities. So, as Arno mentioned before, there are different phases in the citizens' assemblies. The learning phase is a very important one, because this is where citizens get to have insight from expert presentations, interviews, multimedia content, from multiple perspectives on the issue at hand, housing in our case. And the learning phase also builds civic knowledge and critical thinking. Then the actual deliberation on November 12th, where citizens will engage in structured small group discussions and across different groups with different native languages. And this peer learning will lead to a structured dialogue with the help, of course, of dedicated moderators in real-time facilitation, so that all voices are heard. And the third phase is the collective drafting, voting, and ranking of concrete policy suggestions. So this is a mixture of asynchronous and synchronous stages in the process, leading to policy recommendations. The ultimate goal is, of course, to work towards a truly inclusive European democracy, because not it is also thrive if everyone feels they belong and are heard by institutions, and approach and our experience. We will deliver evidence-based policy recommendations. We will test participatory models from research by using advanced AI-driven tools, such the ones that are mentioned before, creating this web for ethical digital democracy across different languages. This is from my side. Thank you very much. So I think now I shall pass the floor to you, Lydia.
Thank you, Arno. Thank you, Rania, for such an interesting presentation. It's really challenging, but at the same time exciting, this mission to overcome and bridging different cultural communities. This is technologically challenging and exciting, but even more from a social and political point of view. So I'm really happy to be part of this project. So we give now the floor to Professor Harris Alexopoulos, who will present the IDEAL project. Harris?
Hello, thank you. These two projects are under the same call. I might begin with this comment. So they are quite similar. They are trying to address the same back then identified challenges in the domain. So you will see a lot of similarities. First, to just begin with the consortium, of course, you can see the link of the project here is idealdemocracy.eu. And yes, as the previous one is a 3 years project, around to 3 million, with 12 partners from 8 countries and covering 8 languages. We will run 3 pilots into this project, but I will show you later on the pilots. So what we are trying to do here, we are trying to experiment with different tools and methodologies and to support multilingual understanding and multicultural understanding and to foster active participation of minorities. Our ambition is also to cover offline and online participatory processes in due process and to support in general and enhance the dialogue at EU level through our newcomer technology, which is mostly AI-based. So the architecture of IDEAL, it looks like this. We are trying to gather our data sources at the bottom of this slide. A lot of things like legislation data that can facilitate and initiate the discussions, and we have different things to discuss, public opinion data, open data and social indices to support multiculturalism, and of course the actual user deliberation data and text. So through that, we have a middle layer of pre-processing and semantic annotation. I won't go through that in detail. And then we have an AI backend with NLP services supporting this. So we have multilingual translation, multicultural simplification, summarization, reading aloud applications, and all of these things would come at the very front end of the user, like through actually the Deliberation platform. Both projects, I believe, are using Decidim as a core central platform for doing that. Then we are going to develop a mobile app which will support the on-site deliberation process. And of course, we will have not only a Q&A chatbot, but a chatbot that will guide, firstly, the user through the use of all our tools, including Decidim, but also helping them find the right information through our databases like legislation data or other public opinion data. So it will be easy for them. We will test all of these things. We are trying to test now how they are working. So we start from the identified challenges of the goal and proceed to the rest. So as previously said, the most important part is the learn and deliberate cycle here. So in our core methodology, we are trying to include this learn and deliberate with to dress it with supportive services like identification of relevant criteria for and dashboard developments, multicultural coverage, and misinformation handling. And on the deliberation side, definition of the process, specifically if it is on-site or offline, online or offline, to prepare local cases and to discuss other EU cases, bringing them information about what other people have said on the same issue around the EU, mostly around the EU. And of course, to support the multilingual aspect at different administration levels. Then we proceed to empowerment and collaborative reporting aspect, in which we will do all the summarization and we will try to convey the message to higher policy levels. So our pilots into this cycle of learn and deliberate are starting small, like small groups of people of the same group, actually. So they are trying to build trust among them. And after all these iterations, they move to national level, in which level they participate with other groups and communities, and then our goal is to bring it at the European level with all the groups involved inside that, meaning both minorities, that is our primary focus, but also general public into that. So yes, I won't go through that. I would like also to just say it on the red here, that because these are insights from the Conference on the Future of Europe. So one thing is that there is a barrier to inclusion. So inclusiveness is the one thing that we need to tackle here. So this is how we also, both projects, design their pilots, of course. And then another red point here is, I'm reading from inside, from the slide, although the EU committed to following up, the translation of citizens' input into policy have been slow and selective. This is one weak point we have. And of course, some key takeaways from all of these tasks we have done already is that we need simplified text. Of course, we need to be careful on the legal documents for sure, but we also need multilingual and across different functions of the deliberation process. Face-to-face is very important, so we need to cover that as much as possible. And supportive roles for leveling up the playing field for disadvantaged groups needs to be undertaken into consideration a lot. Of course, we will try to support different interchanging modes of communication, including in the test and our experiments, storytelling, reciprocity, to cover reciprocity, respect, and including humor even. We will try to experiment with all this. So I have one more slide. Yes, this one. Before I close, our primary target groups, we have, as I said, 3 pilots, and our primary target group is for Greece, and the Greek pilot is visually impaired individuals from diverse linguistic backgrounds. The Belgian pilot, refugees aged 35 to 55 years old, with native tongue Arabic, and women with refugee and migrant background of different ages, with primary language of Dari or Farsi, and Arabic is the Austrian pilot target group, primary target group, but because, as I said, we'll cover also regular citizens. So
thank you so much, Harris. Thank you for your presentation. It is really impressive to see the ambition of the project, of both projects. As you mentioned, it is mandatory to build from the lessons learned from the Conference of the Future of Europe, and it's so encouraging and so illuminating to see how the best of social science in Europe and the best of technology is working together to go beyond the traditional tools that we already had, especially going into the cultural analysis and the narrative analysis, as Rania was mentioning, is so important because it's not enough with translating a word. Quite often, we don't understand each other, even using the same language, because you may say freedom, and freedom have a total different meaning for a person in Spain and a person in Poland, or in the same country. It can have totally different meanings. So I would like to congratulate both consortium for this impressive ambition to go beyond the mere translation of languages and go into the translation of meanings and narratives and mental frameworks that configure the way we understand the world. So thank you for that.